Ladies and gentlemen, we have made it and are officially in game week. All you seekers of maroon Kool-Aid can finally rest. Your 2023 Fighting Texas A&M football team takes the field this Saturday. You'll get to see touchdowns and tackles. Some of you will stand all game. Others will be brought to your feet by unimaginable plays. Many of you will make Kyle Field the loudest place in the country on third downs. Others will have to be aware where your ceiling fans are because you're going to jump off the couch and celebrate some game-clinching TD. You'll spend time tailgating with Maroon Faithful, perfectly crafting a spread for your guests worthy of a king. Others will invite over your best friends who will yell with you when your Aggies convert a 3rd and short on the goal line. We'll high-five everyone around us when we get a huge sack. At work on Monday, when we're next to the coffee pot, we'll commiserate with other Maroon Faithful about the glories of Aggie football. At lunch, we'll prognosticate about what a win would mean next week. It's an exciting time. So get ready, all you bloodsuckers. The Kool-Aid will be flowing. With that said, roll the damn intro.
At the 20, at the 15, at the 10, 5, he is almost, he got a touchdown! He got
left center field. It could be. It is a home run.
Oh, doctor!
All right, welcome to the AggieCentral podcast. I'm your host. You can just call me Central. I'll be here with you all season for game previews and reactions. If you like the content, hit the thumbs up. If you're enjoying the content, leave a comment. If you want more, subscribe. I'll bring it to you here all year. Game previews, game reactions, some things in between. I'll be here with you during the highs and the lows, through it all. To sweeten the pot, everyone who subscribes today, right now, gets free refills at Kyle Field all year long. Did you hear that? Free refills at Kyle Field. I'm sorry that it's Pepsi, but I'll sweeten the pot a little bit more. Ross Bjork has agreed that when this channel gets to 2,000 subs, we switch to Coke. Okay? Look, what more incentive do you need? Okay? Sub it right now. Coke will be on its way. Before we get into the preview, I want to give a big thank you to all you that have subbed so far, have viewed this channel and been with me. I realized the other day I uploaded the 150th video on this channel. And so I got to just looking at that and reminiscing a little bit, looking back on the work that was done. The first video I uploaded was on October 6th, 2018, and that was the Kentucky game. I recorded the Spirit of Aggieland being played. It was something I'd been wanting to do for a while because it was something that it moved me so much whenever, we're shouting and spelling out Texas and Aggies, and just to hear the rumble from the crowd is just, it's unmatched, to be quite honest. So I put that up. Later that year, I was able to catch the final play of the 7 overtime game against LSU, put that one on there, and really from there I had been addicted. In May of 2021, I did the first episode for this channel in the format that you're seeing now. And so kind of branched over into a different kind of content, and just been loving it ever since. Got the final play for Alabama that same year. I've had some guests on here like Aggies Today and Hayes Fawcett, and it's just been a really, really great time. I've done hype videos. I think 2020 was maybe 2019 was the first year for a hype video. Tried to make it even better the following year. And as of last I checked, the last 2 years, this year's is somewhere near over 8,000 views. Looking at the channel, there's been 250,000 views for this channel, over 10,000 hours watched, and I'm so thankful that I've been able to bring that to you. And again, just a huge thank you to all of you. With that said, let's get into this preview. It's time for football. The quest for 10-2 begins this game. This may be the most important preview I think maybe that I give all year. I gave one last year. I did not listen to everything that I told myself needed to happen and then what happened afterwards. So this is the year. I've learned more, you've learned more, we've seen more. I think that this team can go 10-2 this year. I could put a whole bunch of big ifs with that and say if they do this, if they do that, they'll be 10-2. And a lot of people are doing that. And then they're going to come back on the backside and they're going to say, well, I told you that this was going to happen. Meanwhile, they've been saying the whole time 7-5 is possible. Fine. 7-5 is possible. I understand that's what's, out there if certain things happen. I'm saying 10-2 because I believe in this team. Okay? I believe in this team. I've talked about those reasons. Go back and watch them. You can find out and see what I think about it. This game, though, is going to tell us a lot. Let's start off with the Lobos themselves. They were 2-10 last year. 22, they were 2-10. 2 wins, 10 losses. They picked up a transfer from UAB, Dylan Hopkins. While he was at UAB, he threw for 1,900 yards last year. He's in his this will be his 4th year taking the helm, but this time it'll be for the Lobos. He did 1,200 yards passing. He did 1,900 yards passing. The Lobos themselves managed a measly 13 points per game last year. 1,200 yards passing, 1,400 yards rushing. The lone bright spot for them was their defense. They're 47th in total D in 2022. They gave up 4,300 yards total. Now, they gave up 26 points per game, but they were doing it to the likes of Colorado State, Wyoming, UTEP, and Maine. So not sure who's who of college football. That's all to say, this game is about us. It's about us. Most every game will be, but of course, some games you're going to focus on matchups and how we look against the other team, what the other team's strengths and weaknesses are. This one's about us, okay? There's a lot of storylines going on about this game. Let me cover a quick few and then we'll jump into a few others. Storylines. Who's going to be the QB? Who will they march out there under center? Shotgun, actually. We might do a little bit more of that. Who are going to take the other starting positions? We've got to fill in for Jalen Jones. Who's going to fill in that DB spot? What's the O-line going to look like? Can they make progress? Who's calling plays? Everybody's favorite. Who's calling plays this year? What's the new entrance song going to be? That's been a hot topic. It's going to need to be good. It's going to need to be worthy of Aggie land. I like to think about what this game means more. Okay? So I'm going to give you a few bold predictions about this game, but let me tell you what it means to me. I'll start off by talking about a game that happened last night. USC and San Jose State played last night. Final score 56-28. You be happy with that kind of score against New Mexico? When you hear that score, what are you thinking about USC right now? I know what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, how in the heck did this team give up 28 points to San Jose State? I sure hope we're not going to give up 28 points to New Mexico. And if we do, I'm going to be having an overreaction. Oh, it's going to be woe is me. The spigot on the maroon Kool-Aid will be turned off immediately. There won't be any Kool-Aid in sight for me if that happens. I don't think that's going to happen. But that's to take a step back. Let's go back to Sam Houston State. Maybe things got a little bit masked for me after that game. We won, 30-0, I think? I had a lot of predictions in that game, or actually it's more like things that I wanted to see. I wanted to see us dominate. I wanted to see us play an easy game, okay? I don't think I trusted those results. So one of the things I've learned this year is I've got to trust my eyes in those results that I see. That game, anybody that watched that game knew that should have been something like 49-0. 56-0, 56-3. That should have been the results. It wasn't. We had multiple interceptions. We had trouble covering stunts by the defensive line. There were a whole slew of issues that were going on, right? But the final score, 30-0, kind of masked that. We just, I think, didn't think that. So I went on to go make a prediction about what was going to happen with Appalachian State. So Appalachian State happens, and we get our tail kicked. Not good, right? But I predicted a win in that game. I figured that what we would do is we'd bounce back. And I go on to predict something for Arkansas, and it looks something like, a close win, or, but like at least a touchdown. No, it took a missed doink field goal for us to win that one. So, man, the signs were all there. We go on to play we go on to play Bama, and I think we can see the first flash of this team of what all my thoughts and predictions were coming from. The team that I thought that they could be. So, yes, I know Jalen Milroe was playing that game, but it's still Alabama. Every year they get, thought of as, just going to reload. They're just supposed to reload. Oh, but when Jalen Milroe comes into play, now they've got some excuses, right? That's why that game was so close and this and that. Okay, I mean, I hear them, but that's not the same thing everybody talks about whenever, the predictions are coming in. So what I'm saying is that we played a very capable Bama team. He played a good game, and we took advantage of some things, and we stepped up. That's being discounted, is what I'm saying. So we saw a flash of that team against Alabama of what they could be. We go on to struggle, we lose to Mississippi State and Ole Miss and South Carolina. We're working things out. Things finally mesh against LSU, and basically we dismantle them. That's the team that we're looking for. That's the team that we know that we could have been. Now, hopefully maturity, another season of experience, lack of injuries, lack of locker room issues will help to solidify that culture and that lifestyle of playing. But that's the team I think we can be. But Sam Houston State saw and told me that that's really how that season should have gone. Some ups and some downs and some disappointments, because we weren't able to play that team like we should have played that team. We got to trust the results that we see here against New Mexico. When we play New Mexico, I want to see easy plays being made. I want to see big plays being made. I want to see Connor play, one drive into the third quarter and come out, and no later than the third quarter. I could maybe last a little bit into the fourth quarter because maybe we're getting ready for Miami. That's fine. I can justify that. But I would like to see the second team play in large part. But we don't even know if that's quite going to happen, right? Connor might not be the one that comes out. It could be Max. We need to have that question answered. So that's going to be some of the interesting stuff that we get this Saturday. A lot of questions going to be answered. Who's actually going to come out for QB? I do think it's going to be Connor. I'd heard that maybe he had pulled away a bit, but it's being kept hush-hush. Will it be playing, a two-quarterback system come Saturday? That would be very interesting. That would be have lots of more questions to ask if I saw something like that. So this is what this game means. It's solidifying our roster, and it's going to tell us a story of what this team can be, okay, or what this team's not going to be. I will watch this game from 45 minutes before, which it won't be started yet, but I'll be in that stadium ready to go. And then I'll be there till the final play. I want to see what the backups do. I want to see how we play, and then I'm going to watch it 5 more times on Woodland's Aggies channel and watch the No Huddle and all that good stuff. If you haven't seen that channel, go over. That's great. I'll watch as many times as I possibly can. I've got to figure out what's going on here. What I think we're going to do is irrelevant after that. We need to show what we can do, and we need to take care of business, okay? We need to take care of business. So this game's big. I think this is the biggest prediction, or preview, I should say, that I really have given. This needs to be the year. This year is crucial for many reasons. A lot of things. David Stone commits yesterday, the number one defensive prospect or defensive line prospect in the 2024 class. And we've been doing really well. We got, Hicks last year. And we were in that, I guess, but we weren't really being talked about. It was probably pretty much an Oklahoma thing. Can we flip him? To be able to flip this guy, we are going to need to show that we're a different team than that 5-7 last year. That's what recruits think right now. Conference realignment is getting ready to happen. So this season is extremely important. When Texas and OU come in, there's going to be a new pecking order developed. Where are we going to place ourselves in that? Very important question. Recruits think about that. When they talk right now, they say, I can win a championship with Alabama. I can win a championship with Georgia. Do they say that about A&M right now? Not yet. We have to change that, and that needs to start this year. We can do 10-2, but we are going to have to simply take care of business. There's lots of reasons why it could result in that way. A lot of changes that happened this year, and we can get into all those, and we'll mention them throughout the year. But this game will tell us if those changes have truly been made. When I'm looking at USC yesterday, they just recently got transfers. One from us, Anthony Lucas. They got Bear Alexander from Georgia, and they're giving up 28 points. I mean, these are like 5-star prospects that are coming over to them, high end 4 stars, and they're still struggling on defense. And this has been Lincoln Riley's mantra, right? What's our mantra? Is our mantra going to be that we're going to continue to give up 200 plus yards on the ground per game? We can't survive in that. How much did we give up to Sam Houston? It was a fair amount. We're going to have to lock that down. Keep the progress that we've got in the secondary, and then basically revamp the offense. So we'll see if all those things take place. I got a few bold predictions for you for this year too. So let's go ahead and jump into those. To me, I see quite a few. But I want to highlight a few. I'll give you 3 for the season and 1 for the game. Okay, we'll talk about the implications. I want to start off with, I think Jimbo basically solidifies or initiates 2 head coaches getting fired. Now, I don't know which 2, but here's my thoughts on this. You got Danny Garcia for the Lobos this year. He's in his 4th year with them. And he's a Lobo, so he'll be difficult to get rid of. But 2-10 last season, certainly our game is not going to solidify that for him. But it could be just a too crushing of a blow for people to ignore. But more high-profile situations, you've got people that I think are possible to have reflected back and be thought of, oh, that's the game that the straw that broke the camel's back. So look, Mario Cristobal is in his 2nd year, and we play them. And if we go in there and beat them, they go on maybe to lose to Florida State and just really can't get it done. There's a lot of hype around that team this year. And sure, it's only the 2nd year, but after about 4 years, they might be thinking, we really want to stick around with this guy. It's just not quite making it. And they're chomping at the bit. So I really think that's a guy that could look back and say, we had the perfect opportunity to get over that hump and beat A&M, go on to beat Florida State, and we didn't beat A&M. We got beaten our own stadium and maybe even crushed at that point. And that solidifies, initiates the progression for that man to get fired. A lot of people are saying that the Nick Saban era is coming to an end, that Georgia's taken over. Well, Jimbo gave him his first assistant defeat, right? What if he gets a second? What if it's in convincing fashion? People might be thinking a little bit more about whether or not this guy's going to be on his way out. So that would probably not happen after this year, but it could be the place where we start to see things starting to fall apart. And I think Jimbo could have a lot to do with that. So that's a pretty bold prediction for all of those. But more realistically, for at the end of the season, maybe Sam Pittman. They were real high after they beat us 2 years ago. They didn't get it done last year, and what if we just go out and just crush them this year? They might be thinking they want to move on from this guy because they can't do anything if they're not going to be able to get through us right at this point. We have not solidified ourselves as a top 2 SEC West team. So if they can't get through us, how are they going to get through the rest of that? So maybe it's time to move on from him. They're not real happy with how things are going over there. They're replacing two coordinators, so they're really shaking things up. And if he doesn't make the right hires, and could get a little salty there. Okay. Next ball prediction: 11/25, November 25th, Saturday after Thanksgiving. This year will mean something. We go to Death Valley that year. That weekend, we're gonna play LSU. Last year, it didn't really mean anything. It was only for us. Even them, they were halfway, it didn't matter for them for the SEC championship, so they might not have been playing the full game. It didn't look like that. We had no skin in the game. It was nothing. It was just going to be, are we going to be 4-8 or 5-7? We're playing for us, and that's it. This year, that game means something. I don't think it's ever meant anything other than exactly how it meant last year. Can we, start a rivalry with LSU? But it's hard to start a rivalry when the game doesn't really mean anything. With Texas, it's always been who wins the state, and that's been basically our lone rival. We've been trying to kind of move this on for LSU, and it's been getting, more and more tense. This would really make it a true rivalry. Both teams have something on the line come November 25th. Maybe that's a berth in the SEC championship game. Maybe it's, winner goes and the loser is still considered for the fourth spot in the playoff or something like that. That would be an amazing result. But it still could have New Year's Six implications on the line, something like that. Those are a lot of different possibilities it could be. But either way, I think it's going to mean something to these teams. LSU could be on the outside looking in. We could be on the outside looking in. People maybe not thinking very highly of us. They haven't been all year. They're still sleeping. So we might need to go out and make a statement. Okay? We did it last year. Jaden Daniels is supposed to be basically the best QB in the league. And we made him look pretty pedestrian last year. So it's going to mean something this year. I feel pretty confident about that. How much we will see and where it falls, I don't know. I think my third season prediction, what you're going to find out, is going to be that people are going to be saying this D-line is the best defensive line since 2018 Clemson. Okay? That's what I think they're going to be saying. I think we got a. I don't think they'll be talking about the front four the same way they did with Clemson. I think it's going to be the whole unit, the entire unit. Why? I think we're going to go from 123rd in rush D, where we're giving up like 2,500 yards and like 200, yards per game. I think they're going to find a way to cut that in half, just to over 100, where that becomes the norm. So, and this defense turns into a top 20 group with that number, and then this just becomes a defensive line running show where they are the backbone of the defense. Okay, so keep on the lookout for all that. Those are my three bold predictions for the season. So not your grandma's list, right? Not like Connor's going to be throwing for 4,000 yards. Not those kinds of typical ones. I think these are a little bit more fun. For the game, my bold prediction is, and for some I don't think it's going to feel that bold, but let me tell you, we haven't had a line like this in some time. -38. And when did we cover? I don't think I remember a time when we covered. We may have covered that Sam Houston State game, but I think the line was like -28. We're -38. There's a lot of confidence out there in us in this game. It's still, these out-of-conference games. I think we cover. I think we cover pretty convincingly in this. I think I'm going to be completely overreacting in this game. First off, if and when that happens. Let's say Connor throws for over 300. I'm overreacting. I will be smitten with something like that. Or let's say Evan Stewart hits a 75-yard TD. Maybe even Owens still goes out for 100 yards even though he wasn't the starter. I'm just going to be beside myself waiting for all this to go down. And if that sort of stuff happens, again, to bolster up this bold prediction of covering -38, the Kool-Aid will be flowing. So watch out, okay? I mean, look, I know it's interesting to feel all that. I feel your teeth kind of sinking in a little bit with all this, y'all. you're trying to get more Kool-Aid out of me, but I'm trying to temper my expectations just a little bit here, because I do remember how last year went. So don't pull out too much out of me. I feel you're trying to bite into here, you bloodsuckers. But rest assured, if any of that happens, I'm going to be right back here next week talking about all the Kool-Aid. I'll turn the spigot right back on. You can drink all you want. Okay? We'll be doing that and more. So see you next week for the reaction. In the meantime, beat the hell out of New Mexico.